thank you to Ken for letting us do this. I'm sure you guys are blessed every month that you do this. But let me just start with a little bit about myself, since I haven't had the privilege of knowing anybody here for more than 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But I've spent about 25 years in the sales and marketing world. About 3 years ago, well actually about 20 years ago, I began to get an idea. I began to get an idea called excellence. And I began to study this word, and I've spent the last 18 years studying this word called excellence. And to ask me what excellence is like, and to explain excellence, is like asking Ken to tell you everything he knows about real estate in 30 minutes. It's just impossible. So what I've done in this training and development, what I did was about 3 years ago, I literally, quote unquote, retired from the corporate world and took about 2 years off to go through all of the things that I have been training salespeople on for 25 years. And I put them into a conference, into a seminar setting. And I wrapped it around a process called excellence, around the principles of excellence. See, I've learned something in life. Excellence is a lot like love. It's hard to explain, but you know it when you see it, right? So, in order to explain excellence, it's like explaining love. In order to explain love, you have to explain the principles. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love doesn't hold a grudge. So if I understand that love doesn't hold a grudge, I can understand what love is, right? So the same thing with principles. So I created these principles and I put them into a seminar format. And the seminar takes about 18 hours to go completely through. And so what I'm going to be giving you today is just a touch of this seminar in one part of the principles. So, but let me start by saying this. I launched our company over in England about 1.5 years ago. I launched the company in England. While I was there, I met a gentleman from Nigeria who said, man, I think these principles can change our whole nation. So I spent a couple weeks over in Nigeria. I've spent about 6 or 8 weeks on different continents over the last few months, over the last year. And I had the opportunity to speak before ambassadors and presidents of different nations. And then I go back and I look at myself, and I'm just, really, you can tell by my accent, I'm just a hillbilly from Tennessee. I'm just a guy from the hills who God loves. And so I've discovered that when I began to walk towards this vision God's put into my heart, things began to happen. Things began to step in place. But I have to step forward and move forward. Whether it's a real estate or business, this is just where God has had me. If that makes any sense to you. So when I go into these conferences, I've done these conferences in London and Northampton and Lagos and Nigeria, Omaha, Atlanta, Nashville, all over the place. And what I used to do was I'd say, let's start with this. What does excellence mean to you? People would raise their hands. And inevitably, somebody would say, excellence is perfection. And then I'd have to say, let me tell you what excellence is not. Perfection. And then I would feel bad because they would feel bad, and then everybody feels bad. So that's how I go back and start off a seminar. So I just started saying that up front. Because perfection, let me explain, perfection has an end. When something is perfect, it's finished. Right? So excellence never stops. It never settles. Hence the name of our company, Excellence in Motion, or XMO, Excellence in Motion. Because once you hit one goal or one target, then you go to the next. You never stop moving. You're always constantly moving towards to be conformed to the image of Jesus Christ. I just use principles. I use principles to explain it without a lot of, so what, quote unquote, churchy or religious terms. But really it's about becoming conformed to the image of Jesus Christ. It's about, we are created, we are the image and likeness of God. Period. That's what we're created to be. the image and likeness of God. And we lost that over the years through sin. And our focus is to get back into the image and likeness of God through His Son. So, if excellence isn't perfection, then the question is, what is it? And I don't have time to explain all this today, but I want to just give you a touch. Excellence is a person. It's the principles that I teach are the principles that you can become you. The you that God created you to be. Everything He has called you to be and have is what excellence is. It's the image and likeness of God. Period. Now, I said earlier that I spent about 25 years in the corporate world. During sales and marketing operations, I've owned several businesses. And one of the things that I've learned is, when I go into places, is it's not about training folks. It's about developing folks. Let me explain the difference. As a young sales guy, I would go into a new job, just like here, and they would say, okay, you're going to go into training for a couple of weeks. And they say, okay, go work with John. Do what John does, act like John acts, write the way John writes, and close deals like John does. That's training. So what's the problem with that?
I'm not John.
I'm not John. I'm not John. I'm Terry. And I have different skills and different talents and different gifts that God's given me to become who He created me to be. Does it make sense? Mm-hmm. So, I have to be careful. Now, there is a place for training. And that's really called the management side. I'm going to come from a leadership side of developing people. Yes, you train people in managing processes and managing things, but when it comes to people, it comes down to leadership. And there's a big difference between management and leadership. Now, my goal is for you to become everything God has created you to be. You're created to be whole, complete, and lacking nothing. The embodiment of integrity. Let me explain this. Integrity is not just telling the truth. The word integrity comes from the root word integer, which is a mathematical word that simply means whole numbers. So integrity is whole and complete. It can stand by itself. Now, integrity, the way that we teach integrity, is when what you say and what you do and who you are lines up with who God created you to be. It's the same thing. There is no diversity. There's no separation from who God, from His image likeness in your life. I remember I was coaching. I'm also by trade a Master Certified Life Coach. And I focus in on leadership, and that's where my advanced studies are, is in leadership and in wellness. But I was talking to a client a few years ago, and she's telling me her story, and I was like, okay, where do you want to go? What is it you want to do? Why'd you come see me? You know? And she said, well, it's because I have this dream, but I'm so frustrated. I'm just so frustrated. People are frustrated. And I said, well, tell me about this dream. And she says, well, I see myself doing this, and this, and this. I said, great dream. And she said, I said, so what are you doing to hit that goal, to hit that dream? Well, I'm not. I'm trying to make a living. And I explained to her, this is why you're frustrated. You lack integrity. And that's hard. But the truth is, she wasn't whole. I didn't mean that she told a lie. I didn't mean that she was a liar. I'm just saying, you're not whole. And I had to explain that to her, and I was soft. I didn't just beat her up. But I had to shock her. I had to shock her into a truth. Because it's when we have this vision and you're doing nothing about it, it's going to cause division in yourself and in your life. And it's going to cause frustration. That's why people are stuck. Now, what I did tell her was, don't quit your job. I don't mean go quit your job and go do this. I'm just saying let's create a plan to begin to work towards this vision. And like me and anybody else begins to walk towards the vision God's put into your heart, things will begin to line up. And so just walk towards the vision, walk towards the goal. In my world, I don't call it setting goals. I call it goal targeting. Because goals don't set. You never steal in excellence. You're always moving to the next level, line upon line, precept upon precept, from glory to glory. Now, when I talk about excellence, I told you earlier that we talk about principles. And I explained why we talk about principles. And what we do is we advance these principles of excellence into 3 focused disciplines: inspiration, identity, and I-power. I'll explain all these in a minute. Now, I'm giving you a base so I can give you a portion of a principle today. So, this ain't a sales pitch. I'm just trying to explain to you, I'm trying to give you context to what I'm going to say in the last 10 minutes of me talking today. So you can catch it, you can use it, you can work with it. You have something to apply. So, it's a disciplined approach. We have a process called possibility architecture. And what we do is we take these principles of excellence and we drop this into possibility architecture. And it's about who you are, what you can be, and then do. Listen to the progression. Who you are, what you can be, then do. This is important because most of us think we're human doings, not human beings. And we have filled our lives with activities. We filled our lives with activities that get us nowhere near the goal. We're very busy, but really most of us are just stuck. If we're not marching, if we're not pressing toward the goal of the high mark of the calling, we're not going towards what God's called us to be and do, we're running on a treadmill. So, the way we come from inspiration is this, and it's funny because this is an inspiration breakfast. Inspiration to us is the immediate influence of the excellence within you, shaping your dream, vision, desire, and reality. It's what you want to become and what you want to do. Inspiration is the doorway to what is possible, and it's birthed from your purpose. If you're on earth, you have a purpose. Nothing is created without purpose. There's a purpose for this chair. There's a purpose for the cloth on this chair. There's a reason for this table. Before it was created, something in the mind of the maker says, I want something to sit on. I want a small table that can fit into a training ring. So before anything was made, there's a purpose for it. The light, the wall, the screen, the carpet. Everything has a purpose. So, if you are here on this earth, that is evidence that God has a purpose for your life. That's right. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Now, it's bigger than your job or career. It enables you to fully express yourself and live a life of integrity. Going back to being whole and complete. Inspiration makes it possible to visualize and transform the unseen into the seen. Let me explain this. To a lot of people, we're in a down economy. If you see a down economy, that's not going to help you create sales. But if you see opportunity for investment, the unseen, you got to bring that unseen into the seen and say, hey, you got to begin to speak about opportunities. You got to begin to speak about investment problems. You got to begin to speak about those things. Because you can't speak to what you see with your eyes. You have to learn to see what you speak with your eyes. Does that make sense? To the vision. To the vision. Now, it's kind of like, it comes down to innovation. Whether you're going to be an innovator or not. Let me give you an example of innovation. There are 3 innovators looking at a cow one day. One saw a jacket, one saw the covering for a chair, and one saw lunch. See, when God wanted man to have a table and chairs, He gave him a tree. Our job is to look at the unseen and bring it to the seen. It's to look at something and say, oh no, that's not, no. Does that make sense? That's innovation. Innovation is the difference between a jungle and a garden. Same stuff, but it's cared for and organized. Is this making sense? Is this making sense? So, it's a life of innovation. Inspiration initiates creativity, which should result in a contribution to society. One of the things we talk about in our seminars is this. Write down this word. W-O-R-K. W-O-R-K. What does that spell? Work. Now, most people, you talk about going to work, it's, I got to go to work today. You know, you've got to go to the grindstone, you know, and get your lashings that day. That's what most people think about. Well, you may not, because you're in a different place. I would say probably most of you don't feel that way. But even if you do, and even if you don't, get rid of cross out that word work and replace it with this word, contribution.
That's good.
I'm not going to work, I'm going to contribute. I'm not going to my job, I'm going to make a contribution. See how that shifts your thinking? How it shifts the way you think about it? I'm not going to my job, I'm going to make a contribution. I can smile about that. And when I'm constantly thinking, how do I contribute? How do I contribute? Things begin to change.
That's good.
Inspiration is the barrier buster and destroys limits of impossibilities. When you get inspired about something, man, you can do anything. When you get inspired about something, you can do anything. You see, this is going to sound kind of corny, but capture it. You don't know what you don't know. But when you get inspired about it, you begin to do things you didn't think that you could do. When you get inspired about running a marathon, all of a sudden you can run a marathon. You get inspired about selling real estate, all of a sudden you can sell real estate. When you get inspired about closing that deal, you can close that deal. But you walk into that deal thinking, I hope it closes. We're in a bad economy. Dude, I'm telling you, you lost before you walked in the door. The second part of possibility architecture is identity. It's more than doing, it is being who you're created to be. In order to create and contribute to your full potential, you must deploy your gifts, talents, and capabilities. You must deploy. You must get them working for you. You must take land. So what deployment is? Deployment is a military term that goes out deploying the troops into this area. Because the purpose of deploying troops is to take over, right? To take that ground. So we have to get out, and you don't have this probably here a lot because of what you do. But we have to get out of the employment mentality into the deployment mentality. And the deployment of our gifts, talents, strengths, capabilities. Now, the measure of your true potential is within your spirit. Therefore, you should not limit yourself to what you can see with your eyes, because all things are possible. You have to you have to stay in the innovative state. When you see a problem, what are the possibilities? Your abilities and capabilities give clues to your purpose. I talked earlier about purpose. Another thing about purpose is this. And again, I'm just throwing out stuff. I normally teach on this for several hours. But purpose, if you want to know your purpose, find out what you hate. What drives you crazy? What makes you angry? Does people being hungry make you angry? Then your purpose is feeding those people. Find out what makes you angry. What makes me angry is mediocrity. People just trying to get by. It drives me crazy. This attitude of just barely making it by. That I don't hate the people, but make sure that you understand that. I love the people because I have a passion to see their lives changed. I want to see them get unstuck. I want to see them making a contribution to society, whether it's in their work, in their communities, in their church, or whatever. That's my passion. And man, I'll do that anywhere, anytime. And when you find that thing that drives you crazy, you probably found your purpose. Matter of fact, purpose is also, a lot of times, it is our hobby. What will you do for free and do it anyway? What will you do without getting paid for it? That's purpose. Find that. Find purpose. Now, the point is to not get paid for it, but to get paid for doing what you love to do. That's purpose. Finding a way to create cash, to create income. I'm not saying go be Mother Teresa. Trust me, I am not saying that at all. Unless that's your true call. I'm saying find your passion and find a way to create money from it. Create an income from it. Because you're powerful in that position of purpose. That's where your power is. Here's a challenge. We cannot limit ourselves to the potential of our body. Or let me say it this way. The potential of our body is governed by physical abilities. We can't limit ourselves to what we see, hear, taste, touch, feel. We can't limit ourselves to what we see. If we do, then nothing would have been made. A chair wouldn't have been made. The paint wouldn't have been made. The carpet wouldn't have been made. If you limit yourself to what you see, nothing is created. Anything that's in this form right now is in somebody's mind. So possibility is born in the Spirit. Possibility is born in the Spirit, travels through your imagination, it is created through your words, and it is released through faith. Possibility makes you unstoppable. Everything starts with your mind and then comes through your words. Everything. Let me just make a blunt statement right here, right now. Everything is created from language. Nothing is created without language. Right? Think about it. You cannot do anything without language. I'm going to prove this to you guys in a minute. The reason language is so important is you came from Word.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All things are created by Him, for Him, and through the Word. So that means your daddy is Word. That means you're made up of Word. And until we understand that, we have to get our words in line with what our daddy says about us.
Right.
Is that too religious, or is that okay? Does that make sense? So we've got to, that's why word is so important. Nothing happens without language. If you're, oh, the economy is bad, oh, I can't make this sell, oh, this is rough, oh, I can't do this, oh, you're right. But, oh, the economy is all right, this is a great time for investment, this is a great time for this. And you're right. Here's the beautiful part of it. You're right either way. You're right either way. And that's not just a bunch of spooky, positive thinking mess. That's reality because we are created from Word. Your identity is revealed and you begin to understand what is really possible when your identity is revealed. When you understand who you're created to be, then your words can actuate real possibility. See, the problem that we have, write this down. The problem that we have is not who we are. The problem that we have is who we think we are not. Let that sink in. The problem is not who we are. The problem is who we think we are not. And it's not who you are that holds you back. It's who you think you are not that holds you back. Let that sink in a second. That's a powerful statement. It's not who you are that holds you back. It's who you think you are not that holds you back. The third part of our architecture is what we call I power. Now, especially in a place where you may be thinking from a Christian standpoint or a religious standpoint, you think, well, I power, that's not what you think. I power is becoming who you're created to be in the I am. I'm going to explain that in just a minute when we get into time. I power is intentionally activating your purpose and unleashing your possibilities through inspiration and identity. In other words, what is it that you see? Who am I? And taking action on that. That's what we call I power. I power is full self-expression. Self-expression is more than being an artist, or wearing a mohawk, or wearing purple hair. Self-expression is about becoming and doing who you are. A lot of you are self-expressing yourself through the real estate deal. You just love real estate. I'm expressing who I am created to be right now as a teacher. It's just who I am, man. I call myself a possibility architect. Not because of what I do, but because of who I am. I'm constantly trying to create possibilities in lives and people. Not to go do something else, but to be who I'm created to be. Man, I love what I'm doing. I can't wait to get up in the morning and go somewhere and speak somewhere or teach somewhere or coach somebody. I can't wait to do it. When I'm not doing it, I don't feel right. When I'm not doing what I'm called to be, I'm separated. I get frustrated because I'm not teaching or coaching somewhere a certain day. Drives me crazy. Because I love who I am. I love who God created me to be. I get to walk out His image and likeness every day. What an honor. What a humbling position. That our God would love us and create us in His image. Contrary to popular belief, life is not about finding yourself. This is important. Who looked in the mirror this morning when you were getting ready? Who looked in the mirror this morning when you were getting ready? Everybody looked in the mirror at least one time while you were getting ready. Were you there? You found yourself. You're right there. Life is about creating yourself. I did this. I went on this long trek to find myself. And I looked in the mirror and there I am. I'm not there, man. And we spend so much time finding ourselves, we need to be creating ourselves. We're created to be a creator. Whether it's creating deals, creating whatever, a product, creating something, because our daddy is a creator.
That's right. That's right.
Our power utilizes those unlimited resources that transcends the world of limitations and orchestrates a life full of possibilities. Now, I said all that to say this next 5 minutes. I want to talk about now. I want to talk about the now moment. I want to talk about present moment. As we know, time to us is relegated down to past, present, future, right? That's how we know time. So you've got past, future. Now where is now? Where's the present? Where's the present on this timeline? Do I?
On that line somewhere, I guess.
That's right. Most people say it's right here. It's a whole line. Every moment is clicking. Every moment is going by. You're doing one of two things in each moment. Either investing or spending. Think of this. Now, here's our problem. And here's our solution. Time is a slice or a piece of eternity. Right? When my great-grandfather passed away, we're still here. Time goes on. So, time is a slice or a piece or a part of eternity. Now let me ask you a question. Where does God live? God is what? Eternal, right? True that?
Yes.
True that. Okay. God is eternal. He don't live in this stuff. This stuff lives in Him. He's the first and last, now and forever. Everything is in Him. So, if time is in Him, is in eternity, everything is now to God. He don't live. Peter said one day could be 1,000 years. Now here's our challenge and our solution. We're an eternal being. We're a spirit, right? Our spirit lives forever. It's either going to ascend or descend. It's going to live forever. So there's a part of us that's eternal, right? That's the part that looks like our source, for the record. That's what our source is forever. Now, time has a beginning and an end. Time is simply a measurement of space. It's where we live in existence. If you're not in time, then you're not here. Right? This is a little heavy. This would have to give a broad foundation. This is one of the principles of excellence, or a small, minute part of the principles of excellence. Now, human beings live in both time and eternity. Time only exists while you're alive, so time is temporary. But life is eternal. Make sense? We must tap into the unseen or the eternal world to fulfill our purpose. If God has given you a vision for your life, it's not for you by yourself to do. God doesn't give you a vision He's not going to help you with. He's not going to give you a desire and a passion to do something and not help you with it. You are not meant to stand alone. And I could teach on that for another 4 days. You're not meant to stand alone. You're meant to be part of Him and to work through Him and to work with this thing called eternity, through the unseen. We talked a while ago about going into the unseen and bringing it into the seen. That's what true life is. Now, because eternity is living in you, your potential has no measure, and your possibilities are endless. The only person that puts limitations on yourself is yourself, or when you allow others to put limitations on you. God didn't do that. God didn't say, well, all things are possible, but a few things. All things are possible. And how are all things possible? Because all things work together for good for those that love God and call according to His purpose. So He says, okay, take this bad stuff, become innovative, it's working for your good. And all things become possible. I use my weaknesses every day that are now my strengths. Because I'm looking for myself, now I use that to the glory of God. God worked all those things to work together for my good. Does that make sense? Now, time is the essence of life. I said earlier that you can only do two things with time. It's how you use your time that defines your life. When someone asks what's going on, they're asking, what are you doing with your time? If someone asks you how old you are before you slap them, what they're asking is what have you done with your time while you've been on earth? What you become in life is determined by how you utilize your time. Time is a currency. It's the money of life. Time is the only commodity on earth that everybody has the same amount as. You have the same amount of time as Bill Gates does, or Barack Obama, or George Bush, or wherever you lean. You've got as much time as anybody else does. The question is what are you doing with your time? Every moment you're either spending or investing time. So think of it this way. Time is used to buy life. When you spend time, you're spending life. When you're investing time, you can expect a return on your investment. That's the difference. If you spend money, what do you expect? Bye-bye. If you invest money, sometimes you may lose, but sometimes you may win. You at least expect a return, right? So whatever you become is what you either spend your time on or invest your time on. People live in a construct of consumption, instead of a construct of creation. We're consumers of life and not creators of life. That's why we're stuck. When you begin to create, you begin to get unstuck. So, a couple of things here. We're going to wind up here. And I'm going to finish this I am thing. How is time spent? Well, time can be stolen. Ever heard this term, hey, you got a second? Hey, you got a minute? Ever heard that before? Those calls, time can be wasted. You can waste our time. You can go home in the afternoon and watch TV all afternoon instead of communicating with your spouse or your children. You can do that. You can waste your time. Or you can cut the TV off and invest your time. Now, I'm not saying TV is a one-eyed devil. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it needs to be managed. In our house, we live by DVR. The most wonderful thing that we've got. We watch maybe 2 or 3 hours of TV a week. What I used to do, though, is I would... Anybody ever done that in here?
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes we have a downtime. You know, right into your day. On this day, I'm going to do this. You can't get away from that for an hour or two. But we spend more time on TV and the computer and the internet than we do speaking to our wives and our husbands. We spend more time doing something than we are being something. I don't want to do a husband. I want to be a husband. I don't want to go through the motions of it. I want to be there. Time can be abused. Time gets lost. Anybody ever get to the end of the day and think, where did time go? What happened to today? Anybody ever done it before? I used to happen all the time. What did I do with my day? What happened to it? You either got to use it or you lose it. Right. So how is time invested? Time can be appreciated. You know what that word means here? It can be appreciated. It can gain value. Here's a couple of things. Forgive me if this is offensive, but I don't believe that you can manage time. You can't do anything to the dial on that clock. You can't bring back 1 minute. You can't push it forward a minute. Wasting your time. But what you can do that's effective is control events within time. So don't focus on the time, focus on the events and set them within time. That's a great practical tool right there. So what am I going to do within this time period? Not just this time, but what is going to be effective? How am I going to contribute in this 15 minutes or this hour? How am I going to make a contribution to my customer's life? How am I going to make a contribution? How am I going to teach them what's happening on this real estate market with their house? Planning and prioritization. You've got to plan your contribution and contribute to your plan. Scheduling is a major part of investing time and then sticking with it. In my world, I'm on the phone half the time with somebody overseas. So I have to get up early or go to bed late to work with my customers and my clients in quote-unquote Nigeria or England or France or Germany. And I'm speaking to those people. So I have to put my time around that. I can't work with my life on a 9-to-5 schedule. So I may take a 3-hour lunch because I'm working until midnight that night. But if you know that, you don't lose your time. So you have to get it, especially in your world as brokers and as real estate agents, you have to work around the customer's time. So we have to get out of this 9-to-5 mentality, take some time off, and work later and move our day around where we can contribute in those times. Now, you can also improve your life by converting time into a few things. You can improve your life by converting your time into money, health. Here's a big one. Understanding and wisdom. I'm going to give you $10. I'm going to $20. I'm going to give you $20. Now listen. If you go $20, you take that $20 and you go to the restaurant to buy lunch. What happens to that $20? How long does it last?
Gone.
A day. So did you spend or invest time with that $20? Now I'm not taking. Okay, let me rephrase this question because we're real estate agents in here. Sometimes you're taking a client. That's a different story. Forgive me. Yeah, sorry, that went blank there for a second. Yeah, but that's different.
Yeah.
But going to eat by yourself, you just lost that. That money's gone, 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 gone. Take that same $20 and go invest it in a book. Read the book. Actually, read the book, and then apply what's in the book. How long will that last? Forever. So what's the better investment? The book.
Unless you're hungry.
Well, to a point. Find a way to make it work for me. $15 on a book, and $5 on a cheap meal.
Amen.
But you see what I'm saying? I'm dealing with concepts. I'm dealing with mentalities. Now, here's what I want to go to. And forgive me for jumping ahead and jumping into this because it takes me normally several hours to get to this point. But now, this moment is the present moment. It's always moving. 45 minutes has already gone by since I started speaking. I believe it's an investment. I hope it's an investment to you too. But we have one moment in life, and it's the now moment. It's the present moment. See, our experience really comes down to the present moment. We cannot live in the past or the future, or we'll stay stuck. When you're in the present moment, you're not stuck.
That's right.
When you're right here, right now, you're not stuck. But if your mind is somewhere else, you can be stuck. Now, here's what happens. Let me use this as an example because this is going on a lot right now in the world, and always has. Let's pretend for fun that the present moment is right here. You got your past and your future. You're sitting inside eternity. I told you earlier that God is eternal, and eternity is living in us, right? Now, here's what we do. Let's say we're going to go look for a job. What do you use to go get a job? You use your past experience. You use your past relationships. Use your past skills. Use your past talents of what you've done. And what you're selling in that human resource room is what you've done in the past to prove that you can get to the future. So here's what we do. We use the past and the past to get to the future, right? And we said earlier that the present is always moving. So what happens is by the time we get to this new job, the present's caught up with us and we're still stuck. Ever started that new job and said, for the first week, great. But here I am doing the same thing that I've always hated. Why do you go become an administrator? That's what you've always done. Why do you get into sales? That's what you've always done. There is a moment in time in the present moment. See, we're not created to live in the past or the future. Matter of fact, the first thing that God does in our salvation experience is takes our past and exchanges our past for His past, which is eternal. Because He don't live in this stuff. He exchanges our past and gives us we become a new creation. Now, let me ask a question, and I'm going to end on this. Maybe you're thinking, smiling again. Just kidding. But when God introduced himself to Moses, what did he say his name was? I am. Is I am the past or the present or the future? It's the present. I am is present tense. Everything is now to God. Everything is present in this moment. Right now is where you meet God. When you met God for the first time, you'll never forget it because you became very present to that moment. That's another question. Jesus came to earth. He didn't say, I'm going to be the way. I'm going to be the truth. I'm going to be the water of life. What did he say? I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. He was living in the present moment. Everything about Jesus and God is now. Because he don't live in this stuff. And our challenge is, he has forever to get his work done, but we don't. He's given us an opportunity to fulfill our mandate and our purpose on life. He has given us the opportunity to take what he has given us, if it's wrapped in a talent or a skill or a desire, and use it for his glory. And that's what I came here to tell you. That's our opportunity to be fulfilled and live a life of complete and true possibility. And with that, I thank you for listening to me for 45 minutes. It has been my pleasure speaking with you, and you guys have an awesome, awesome day.
Thank you.